Mr. Gavaskar is a former cricketer of the Indian national team who played in the 1970s and 80s. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest cricketers in history. He and his family are ardent devotees of Bhagwan and have been for many decades. When asked about his relationship with Swami, he says, "I always carry a photo with me wherever I go. And first thing I do every morning is offer my namaskar to him." When Sri Narasimhamurthy sir asked Sunilji about a specific instance where Swami helped him, Sri Sunilji said, "There is no specific instance. He helped me all the time. I don't have the slightest doubt that without him by my side, I could not have scored a single run." Please welcome the little master who will now pay his obedience to the master of the universe, Padma Vibhushan Sri Sunil Gavaskarji.
We must have that faith. We must surrender. We must believe that He's there. He's always there with us every nanosecond of our lives. But sometimes we don't. We don't believe that. We don't because of the thing called ego. All of us have egos. Whatever we may be, we all have egos. And it's surrendering the ego that is the first step towards Bhagwan. When a child cries in the crib, the mother runs from wherever to feed the child, to look after the child. And that's the half step. That is the step that we need to take. Talking about egos, when I was here way back in 1980 at Puttaparthi, when only that round building was there, I was told that Swami wanted me to go to the school, and I was ready. Suddenly I see a car come and Swami is in the car, and I'm saying to myself, oh, Swami himself has come to take me. But again, it was just a little ego feeling at that stage. I was the captain of the Indian cricket team, and with the greatest of respects to all the dignitaries here and those who are maybe watching this, the greatest of respect to them. The captain of the Indian cricket team, captaincy of the Indian cricket team is often referred to as the second most important job in the country after the Prime Minister's job. I'm not saying it, a lot of media refers to it that way. A lot of people refer to it as that way because of how cricket is followed in the country. So I had that ego about me. So I sat in the car, and within seconds that ego was shattered. There I am going towards the school, and there are devotees who are standing by the roadside, standing there in the ashram. Not one person is looking at me. Everybody is doing pranam to Swami, not one person. For someone who was used to having people looking at you, it was such a big come down. And I think Swami in his own way taught me that. He then took me to the school. And there was an assembly. The principal introduced me. Swami was sitting. I was sitting with him. And then after the principal introduced me, he said, and now Sunil will speak on, today is Bakrid, so Sunil will speak on Bakrid. And I'm saying to myself, I am a Hindu. What am I going to speak on Bakrid? So I look at Swami, and Swami has, has that smile on his face. And with that smile on his face, Swami said, you go there. And I went there, and I don't know, 7, 8, 10 minutes that I spoke, and I still do not have a single recall of what I actually spoke that day. It was, when I came back, Swami looked at me and said, so what? But it was Swami who had spoken through me. Swami was the one who had done all the talking. And you know what? All these years I was saying to myself, no, I think I'm imagining it. I don't think I did it. Till about 4 or 5 years ago, after darshan at Puttaparthi, a young man came to me and he said, "Sir, we really enjoyed your speech on Bakrid when you had come to our school." That was the time I actually believed that I had, or Swami had through me, spoken about Bakrid. But even there, I think what he passed on was the message of love. We are not made the same, and that's for a purpose. Because if we were all made the same, then life would be boring. But Swami wants us to understand. Swami wants us to make the adjustments, to live with people who are not necessarily always like us. And I think that is the biggest challenge that we face today. And that is where we have to surrender ourselves to Swami for his guidance. Because today the world is in a turmoil only because of forces pulling against each other. And we need to make the adjustments, we need to make the adaptations. We need to surrender our ego to be able to live peacefully with everybody else.
And Sunilji told me when I interviewed him maybe 7 or 8 years before for writing about him in Satyam Shivam Sundaram Part 5, how he became successful in cricket only on account of Swami's sheer grace and love for his mother, Meenal Gavaskar. In 1970, one fine morning, Sunil had gone to Brabhavan Stadium because he was one of the 14 players playing against Gujarat in the Ranji team. And he was not in the playing 11. That morning, his mother, Meenal Gavaskar, in the kitchen, was praying to her God, Shirdi Sai Baba, for the success of her son as a cricketer. And Sunil will agree with me when I say the first 2 opportunities he got to play for his state, he was not successful. Swami appeared in the kitchen of Meenal Gavaskar and told her, "Today your son is going to score a century." Sunil had not even taken his leg guards because he was not in the playing 11. She looked for a photograph of Swami anywhere available because first she did not know who it was. Finally, she picked up a photograph from a wayside shop around and put it on the wall where Baba had appeared to her. The phone was ringing. Sunil was very frantically calling his mother, "Mother, please get me my leg guards. I'm going to play today." What had happened was the captain of the team, Ajit Wadekar, was injured in the nets that morning. That is why Sunil had the opportunity to open with Sardesai in that match. And she rushed. And Sunil scored a century in that match. In 1971, when he was selected to represent India in West Indies of all places, he was quite nervous. One of the youngest cricketers in the team, and he had to open against real legends. I still remember in that hostel which Sunil referred to, the first words he spoke on the Bakrid day were, "I have faced pace bowlers who are legends, and named a few of them. Malcolm Marshall, Joel Gardner. But I was always steady on my feet. Now when I stand by the side of Swami, there is a shiver in my legs. That's what he said first. By the time he returned, he also said how, his first innings for India in West Indies, when of all people, Gary Sobers dropped a catch of his, even before he had scored a run, he thought of Swami. Gary Sobers came to me and told him, young man, you have a long life in cricket. That's what he told him. He's a very lovable person, an ardent devotee of Swami, and he has told us the very crux of spiritual life. Swami said, Mukti kori narudu, mukkoti devatala veduchundu, gani vetalu bo. Tanuduloni ahamu tanu champukunna, mukti yela atade mukti kade. What does it mean? Aspiring to attain mukti or liberation, man worships 3 crores of gods and goddesses, but there is no end to his worries. If one vanquishes, kills the ego within oneself, why does he need liberation? He himself becomes liberation, said Swami. That is the absolute secret on the spiritual path, to surrender the ego at the lotus feet of the Master.